This is the time you get to show up as a star. You get to, from Sheryl Bernstein, and she gets in there. She gets in there about not feeling good enough, because that's what our theme is for this hour. And she really speaks to how emotionally it can be when we don't show up. And what are the things that we can do to learn how to get behind the camera? Some of it is technical, some of it is emotional. She shares tips, she shares love. What an incredible resource. 30 years plus being in this showbiz area, and now she helps people as a coach get behind the camera. Superb stuff. Janeen Olmos talks about something very precious, a story actually about having an affair with a teacher. So you get to actually meet somebody who struggled emotionally and trying to figure out emotional IQ and what's right, what's wrong, what does she want in her life, what is she learning about herself. Oh, it's scrumptiously good. Linda Shively, she goes in, talks about the joy-stealing dragons. The joy-stealing dragons. These dragons, they all have names. They all have their agenda with social media, with feeling good enough, with being hard on themselves, looking at themselves in the mirror, saying stuff that's not very nice. Oh, it's so much fun. You enjoy your time here with the Fresh Inspiration Show. Take notes. This is a fun one. It's going to get you in the mindset of really starting to see yourself and where you're holding yourself back today and how to clear it for a very long time. We got the tools, we got the love and the heart for you. We're bringing in so many stars for you each hour. Enjoy, enjoy.
Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration. Fresh inspiration.
When I was 4 years old, I was Miss Hottie Toddy, and I was like all into, like, why are people getting sick in the family? What is going on? Why is it that my grandpa has cancer and he shouldn't because he's too young? What is going on? So I literally was 4. I keep trying to say I was 7 because I'm like, how can a 4-year-old know what they already wanted to do? But we've been talking a lot about intuition. I had no idea, and I kind of got lost along the way of this 4-year-old, with the hands on, like, yeah, like, what's going on? I can change the world. And I love that we show up in our kids' state, because that is the truth. Sat with my grandma. I remember the couch. It had like brown, it was like real popular brown and like big old flowers. And it was like really firm material. So when you sat in it, you're just like, so at 4 years old, I felt like, yeah, I'm going to talk to grandma about this. My grandma was like a mom to me when I lost her, which I get to be with her now all the time. So with grandma, I said, Grandma, why is everybody getting sick? I don't understand this. I want to change stuff. What do you think, Grandma? Why are we sick? Why are we sick? In my 4-year-old voice. Well, dear, because what you see is what you're going to die with. And this is the way life is. Grandma, what about food? You made peas. I'm going to go get a plate. Okay, I'm going to go get a plate. I'm going to put peas on a plate. And so my grandma's sitting at the couch and she's listening to me. And I'm just like, I'm our 4-year-olds, they act like they're adults. We know how to play that character. So I go and get a plate, and the plate is really big, but inside there's a lip. And so there's the plate's probably about, like this big. I'm 4 years old. In my mind, because I can't stand peas, by the way. And on the inside has a little dip about like that. And I pour in the peas and I start closing my nose and I start eating it. And I look over at my grandma and I'm eating it. I'm taking care of myself. I'm not going to die from any of this stuff. At 4 years old, you're not going to die. I'm just going to be here forever. I don't know how those other people passed away, but I'm just going to live forever. So at that time, I didn't think about like what Sabina was talking about, where the emotional, spiritual space is our body is a being, that every imprint, every vision that we see, every breath that we take, how we feel in that moment can take us to different places. At 4 years old, I knew I wanted to change my family. And my bigger head of my higher self was like, this world's going to change. Got lost. Teenage years, started working out because I got extremely depressed. Who here has gotten depressed at teenage years? But I got depressed in a way that I could only see myself at that time. And actually, I could only see myself. I couldn't see anybody else because I was very scared. Survival mode. Went out and went for a jog. Figured out that helped me get out of some of that pain. So that was my beginning of working out. Beginning of believing in myself. But there was a thing that Sabina brought up about her friend acknowledged that that's the worst negative attitude she's ever heard, even though she loved Sabina. And she shared that with her. I didn't have somebody like that, but boy, did I have people that wanted to fight with me because I wasn't very nice. Sometimes I was. You know I'm a nice person, but the person that showed up was not the person I was very proud of. So I went on my journey of working out. It was very exterior, but I had limiting beliefs about myself. Right now, when I was 4 years old, I understood about food. When I went in and released this book, it doesn't matter what the name of it is, but you hear about it all the time. I still did not fully believe in myself about that I was worthy of releasing this book. 14 days to a flat belly. We can all get in debate about that, not today. I put this book down. It was all ready to go. And I couldn't figure out how to release it. So I forgot about it. That forgot about it didn't come up for a full year to almost 2 years later. And somebody was talking about books, and I was all of a sudden bubbling up. Something there helped me believe that I was good enough. And so it brought it up. My 4-year-old child, I'm finally listening to. Who here has ever felt like you haven't listened to that child that who you are? We are still kids deep inside. When we take those veils off today, when you're feeling that pull where you're like Sabina said, that energy coming into you, that light. People don't teach us this unless you and your family are just living this. This stuff is magical. I want to scrumptiously eat it. I am listening to my 4-year-old child. Who here wants to listen to their 4-year-old child? Who here? So I got you a recipe right here. You got it right there, and I'll link it again for you. And I'll show you how you can meet up with me. I'm the host, but I got to tell you, 20 years being in the health industry, understanding the flow of the body, I seriously picked this recipe for you today because this is what helps the gallbladder. Some of you don't have a gallbladder. How dare them take that away, but sometimes things get sick. Thyroid, 20 years of not speaking. My voice was higher because I didn't have enough of belief in myself. It's deeper. I had to learn to talk. People would ask if I had an accent because whenever I would talk, because I waitressed for 10 years, they would say, "Oh, do you have an accent?" Because I didn't know how to use these muscles in a consistent space. So my friends, I'm here for you as a host. I'll be here for you. but I'm going to clip this space off of me being there for you as a health coach, but I'm still here. Everything, I'm just being. So, no matter how you show up, whatever, that 4-year-old child is still there. Keep that 4-year-old child alive. Keep breathing it in. And think about all the positive stuff that was happening when you were a kid. You thought your feet were perfect. You're like, I can walk, my feet are perfect. And some people can't walk. So it's not about the walking, but that's what I thought was special. I'd look at my legs and I'll say, I was saying that kind of stuff. Remind yourself. I want to give you that love today. From my heart to yours. Remember, and it will actualize. Whatever you're claiming right now is going to happen. No question. But it's got to come from the heart. It can't be just, I want to wake up and have a Ferrari body, or I want to go buy a Ferrari. Because you can get that if that's like your serious dream. And there's a reason why you're going to drive it across the world and you're going to be teaching everybody about this, whatever your passion is. Then you need that Ferrari, my friend. But make sure what you're asking for is that coming from the intuition, coming from the love. That's my meditation to you today. Usually it's very calm. Namaste. Bring that 4-year child in. I know it was more of a motivational one, but I think sometimes it just shows up any way that you want it to. So that was my meditation for you. You've seen me mellow sometimes too, but it's just the flow. Let's keep the flow going. Who wants their inside out? I gave you the recipe. Who wants to have the beauty of the skin? Make sure that you're grabbing a sponsor spot here with Origins. Who wants a night with Origins with me? And we're going to pamper profits along with pampering your beauty. And when we first did the first round, I gave Anna Maria and Lisa only so much time to be able to teach, but they're really going to go in that teaching sense for you. They're really going to share because this is their passion. I know people from Origins that we're giving a free slot right now, just so you know. But I know people from Origins throughout the 8 years that I've been around them, and they stay around for quite a long time, or I've known them from the beginning of time I touch base with them because of the love they have for the skin. So make sure you grab your spot, and we'll see where we are at the end here. I'll go through and make sure we check into who is winning these, because right now I have 2 spots. We had the 9 o'clock hour. We're starting the 10 o'clock hour. And if you say I'm in with Origins, then that's your spot. Mike Stewart, hello from Grover Beach, California. Mike, I appreciate you being here. Janeen Olmos, one of the stars of the show. Janeen, thank you. She says, intuition, yes. Loved having it so much in the past when it was so clear and beautiful, and am currently battling to get it back on a stronger level. Janine, I love to have you here as this person that is really coming in as an expert, but you are just dropping drop the mic kind of moments here, because I could be making claims like this too consistently. So Janine is great today. All right, so guess what? 10 o'clock hour, here we go. We're at the Fresh Inspiration Show. Who's ready to get on this next level where we just keep going and going and going? I tell you, I'm talking about, we're going to have some new people probably coming in because they saw the hour and they said, okay, I need to be part of that hour. We have some people that have been here the whole time. And what you're going to feel is what you're going to feel. Don't judge it. Play with it. Flow with it. Be with it. Because we're here and ready to be strong. And we have been strong, but we're ready to be strong all the time. And so I love the inspiration that we get with the show. In the 10 o'clock hour, why I chose Sheryl Bernstein, Linda Shively, Janeen Olmos, and I brought them together in a package, in a bow for you. And I know I named it too because I was thinking, how do I put these groupings together? Because I can always feel the tethering and the purpose of what the hour is. Truth in words and thoughts, your present connection to you and showing up in a new way as a leader, knowing I am good enough. And that's the stars of the hour. A lot of words. And we're linking it together with the theme, I am good enough. And then we're bubbling it up from there. That's not just I am good enough. Now it's like, oh my gosh, by the time you're ready to close the door, not on your journey, but just with the Fresh Inspiration Show, I want to hear some more. What's the vapors coming off of that for you too? So let's get the kickoff going for the next hour. And the stars of the show that were here for the 9 o'clock hour Pacific time, they're going to be hanging around, some of them, and some of them may need to leave, but we're going to communicate back and forth so you can hear how we're getting this transformation, the Fresh Inspiration Show. Get your typing going, get yourself going, and make sure that you're winning your spot with the origins and you're connecting. You're connecting the dots. Okay. Let's see, who is our first person today? Linda Shively. Let me get into Linda Shively. You know, I met Linda, and Linda, maybe you can add on more to this because I'm thinking I met you. We had this wonderful conversation. It was a while ago, and it may have been through because we're both speakers and wanted to connect together, and you may remember what it was. And I just said, wow, Linda, you have so much beauty that I can see here. And I just think there's curiosity and purpose here. And then we got on the phone again and we said, oh yeah, let's play with this. Let's play in the show and let's hear, these stories that you need to share because when it comes to, dealing with some major pain, that is one of the things that Linda's going to be sharing today so that you can really feel what your flow is. And I love these stories. The vulnerability and to be able to open that up and bring the joy in is incredible because I know when we wake up alone, we can have a partner next to us, but I'm telling you, when you wake up in the middle of the night, you can truly feel alone. And the dark soul, coming in and us having our experiences, this is the stuff that we're clearing. Like, let's be in truth with what we're clearing here. So I'm so happy you're here, Linda. Welcome in. I'm going to give you a proper connection, but I wanted to say hello.
Hello.
How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm great. I'm so glad that I'm here. This has been wonderful. I'm excited to hear what other people have to say, and I've been gaining insights from the speakers who've already shared. So thank you.
Oh, I so appreciate that. Linda, I had opened like the big introduction, and with our live show, I'm going to say some more things about you. At the end, I'm going to bring in some more accolades because I want to make sure because you've been out there doing some really big things. But I'll get you here to get them warmed up, and we've done quite a bit together already within the community. But I have a really good introduction for you. This one is more of a personable one that I was thinking about. So let me give you the heartfelt space of what I love about you. And then I'll get into the accolades later because you'll understand why this heart center is important to start this off this way. I know that sometimes I can feel really crazy. I have all these different things, and Fresh Inspiration Show, tell me if you feel any of these or you get this. And I can have different things happening in my head, and it can be where it's just split in two, and then there's the good and the positive, and I feel this battle. But Linda, sometimes I have quite a few things going on, and it's that feeling that there's many words and phrases that it just won't leave me. And what I love about what you do is you really get to capture that in your expertise as an executive coach, master executive coach. And what you serve in purpose here for us is being able to make sense that everything's going to be okay, that it's normal to have these things coming at you, but that you got to be in truth. And so I love what you're going to be sharing today. And that truth is where I really wanted to give you more of a warm welcome because of the vulnerability and the stuff that you share. And then we'll get to the other stuff. But my friend, Linda Shively, thank you for being here, my friend. And you just start when you're ready, take a breath, and I'd love to hear what you have to say today.
Thank you, Rhonda. Well, since you opened it that way, I want to invite you back to the middle of December 2005. I had to make a really tough decision. I had to figure out how to escape an abusive marriage with my severely handicapped 3-year-old daughter, Jessica. And Jessica, oh my goodness, she's a bright-eyed, happy little girl. She loves her friends in preschool. She loves stickers. She loves books. And she also has a condition called spinal muscular atrophy. It's a progressive neuromuscular disorder, which affects her ability to breathe, affects her ability to crawl, walk, swallow. And with the strength of her index finger, she's able to zoom around in a power chair and use a communication device. And when that communication device doesn't happen to be handy, she has her animated eyebrows, which I cannot begin to use in the way that she can. She loves people. My marriage, on the other hand, kept me on high alert. I never knew when he's going to explode. I felt like I was walking on eggshells. And I knew that I started to believe the lies, that crazy making, that never feeling at ease. And it wasn't safe. It wasn't a safe place emotionally for me to raise my child. It wasn't a safe place for me. Yet I didn't know what to do. I knew she had tremendous needs, and how in the world was I going to be able to do it on my own? Where was I going to go? Who could help? What could I possibly do? And after a lot of soul searching, on a Tuesday, I brought her home from preschool and put her down for a nap. And I looked at her nurse and I said, you pack her medical equipment. I'm going to pack her clothes and her toys. As soon as she wakes up, we're going to escape. Exactly 2 weeks later, 2 days after Christmas, I held Jessica in my arms as she took her last breath and died. And I struggled for 10 years to figure out what was the purpose of my life? What was I meant to do? How could I possibly make this mean something? And I procrastinated. I didn't know how to take advantage of what I did have. And I didn't feel good enough. But I realized there was an insight. But before I realized that, I'm just going to check with everybody else. Have you ever had a moment where you've procrastinated about something really important? Have you ever thought, maybe I'm not good enough? I mean, this is the whole point of the show today, is that feeling of not feeling good enough. And then looking at that massive to-do list and realizing, wait a minute, is any of this actually important? All of that together, I realized there was something missing. There was something I just couldn't quite figure out. What was it? That secret ingredient that makes everything important. And when I finally realized it, it changed. Because when we have it, we love it. But when it's missing, nothing seems to work. And that secret ingredient is true joy. And I'm not talking about, oh, everything is wonderful, plaster on a smile, yay. I'm talking about deep, true joy that underlies everything. And I realize there are so many ways that, other than just feeling not good enough, that we affect ourselves. And I decided, all this self-sabotage, I named them. I call them my joy-stealing dragons. And so I want to share these joy-stealing dragons with you because I have a feeling that they may not just be mine. Whenever I've talked about it to people, they recognize them. So see which ones you might recognize. The first dragon I call second guessing Sally. And second guessing Sally second guesses every decision. It doesn't matter how committed you are when you make the decision. She wants you to doubt it, second guess it, change your mind, not be sure about it, and it goes nowhere. The second dragon I call No Good Nancy. How appropriate for today's show. No Good Nancy wants you to believe that you were not born good enough. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're attempting something new, she'll say, you can't do that, you're not good enough. And when you succeed, she'll say, you could have done it better, no matter what happens. And this keeps going on. And we've talked about this today in lots of different ways, but she shows up incessantly. The third dragon I call Perfect Paula. Now, Perfect Paula wants everything to happen just so before she'll take any action. Everything has to be in place, everything has to be organized, got to edit and re-edit and make sure there's absolutely nothing wrong, so therefore nothing happens. You don't actually ever write the email, the book, the proposal, whatever it is. And it affects how you show up in the world. The fourth dragon. Oh, and by the way, I can't see everyone who is participating and all the names that are there. If I happen to use your name, it's nothing personal. These are just great alliterations. So please do not take it personally if your name happens to be one of these dragons.
Linda, I'm glad you're sharing that. I'm loving this though. Mike Stewart, you're going to get into your fourth one, right?
Yes.
Mike Stewart says, I love how you named the negative voices so you can speak directly to them. The
Yes.
truth about the amazing miracle you are.
So the fourth dragon I call Judging Jenny. And we sort of alluded to Judging Jenny. She's a complicated dragon because she wants you to judge everyone else so that you feel better. And then she wants you to judge yourself to make sure that things are going right. But it gets crazy. And nobody else really cares because they're so busy judging themselves that they're not really paying attention to you. So, but she makes you think that that is the most important issue on the planet. And oh my, don't even get me started. She loves social media because, oh, I'm going to post about how amazing my day is and how wonderful it is, or you see everybody else posting and you're like, oh, but my life is not good. And then you want to post about your amazing life, but you're like, oh, somebody else is having a sick family member or friend, and maybe I should not be posting about how amazing my life is. It's her playground. She loves social media. Then the fifth dragon. Fifth dragon I named Overwhelmed Ophelia. What? Like you could have named a better O dragon? Anyways, Overwhelmed Ophelia always wants to keep you busy with a packed schedule and a tremendously long to-do list. No matter what is happening, she wants you to say, I'm so busy, as if it were a badge of honor. It really isn't. When you're so busy, then nothing actually important is happening because you're taking all of your time doing the things that may not be that important. So all 5 of these dragons, if you let them in, will steal your joy and you won't even realize it happened. And I let it happen for 10 years. And I don't want that to happen to you. And sometimes the first thing is just being aware of these dragons. And I will talk to you about how you can find out which of these dragons is most active in your life and what to do specifically about that dragon for yourself. So, but before I get to that, I'm going to give you some general things that you can do with these dragons. The first is live a better story. And we've alluded to that today. But what is it that you're believing about your story? Because story equals meaning, and meaning controls everything. So if you have the belief that something in your past means something specific, then you're going to keep living that way. And we have some examples from some of our other experts today, like what does it mean to be a parent? What does it mean to not be a parent? What does it, it's like that by itself is a charged subject. And I'm not going to guess at what that meaning is for somebody else. Whatever that meaning may be for yourself can affect you. So the question is, do you like the story that you've been telling yourself? And if you do, great. But if you don't, you have a choice and you can change that. The second principle is tell time what to do. And what I mean by that is so many things happen in life and we think, oh, well, time will fix it. Everything will be better. How many times have we heard that? How many times have we heard, oh, well, time will heal. Time will make it better. I don't like to use profanity, but it's like, yeah, no, that doesn't work.
I don't mind that. You need to.
No, I'll keep it clean, but it's not true. We're given this lie that time will fix things. Well, time doesn't by itself doesn't do anything. What I choose to believe, and you can write this down if you want, is time doesn't heal. It's what you do with the time that matters. And so what is it that you are doing with your time? Are you allowing the negative emotions to keep building and building them up stronger to the point where they may actually get worse? Because time can build things up and make it worse. Are you allowing time to make decisions for you? Maybe the roof is leaking, maybe I should do something about it, but you don't get around to it, and then there's a storm and the roof caves in. That becomes a crisis. Or maybe you decide, I'm going to procrastinate about applying for whatever it is, and then you don't get the opportunity. You're allowing time to decide, but it's a choice. So even though you think you're allowing time to do it, you are really making that decision. So how do you really want to decide? What is it that you want to do with your time and make that choice? And the third principle I want to share with you today is choose your voices. And Rhonda alluded to that each of these dragons can have these voices. And we have the voices outside of us, our friends, our family, our colleagues, and we have the voices in our head. Yeah, I know we talk to ourselves. I know you do. It's like, you may have one voice, you may have a committee of voices. Everybody, yeah. And each of those voices, if they're negative, is not helpful. And we've been talking about this today. when you have those negative voices and you keep hearing that negative soundtrack over and over and over again, it's going to spiral you downward. So you have a choice of what voices to listen to. And the key is, and this is something we haven't mentioned yet, those voices in your head, they might not actually be yours. They may be from somebody else, like a parent or a teacher or an ex, who knows where they came from. But if you let them stay in your head, and the things we say to ourselves, oh my goodness, we wouldn't say them to our worst enemy. And yet that keeps going on. And each of these dragons has their own soundtrack and ways that they talk about, oh, you shouldn't do that. You can't do that. Oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you should do this. No, you shouldn't do that. Yeah. Oh, you're not perfect. And but you can choose. How do you want to listen to them? What do you want to do? And the biggest piece that will help with all of these dragons, and this is what I help my clients with, is to take action. Because once you are actually in action, then you can make progress. Making that decision to take that action. And I said I would give you some tips on the specific dragons and what to do. And if you want to know which dragon is most active in your life, because I think the key is being aware. When you're aware, then you can do something about it. And I'm not just going to make you aware, but I'm going to give you what you can do. So take the quiz that I have for you. It's available at myjoydrivenlife.com/fresh. And you can take that quiz, find out which of the dragons is most active in your life, and get some tips as to what to do about it so that you can take the action in your life to help get rid of them. Because I don't want you to be stuck with these dragons in your life. And I'm just going to ask, because I can see the other panelists. Do any of those dragons sound familiar to any of you? Yeah, okay. We got multiple hands going up. Everybody's like, yes.
I thought they were all mine. Like, I'm like, oh yeah. And because sometimes they show up in different phases too, right? We don't have to just pick one, right?
No, well, there's, at the time you take the quiz, there will be one that's the most active, and that's the one that you'll get that about. You can take the quiz again and get a different answer. But we often have all of them. And like you just said, they show up in different places, different days, different situations. You may have one of them that shows up more in your relationship. You may have one that shows up more in your business. You may have one that shows up more in your health. And, or it may be certain aspects that one may be more active for you. But whatever it is, being able to address that and deal with it is important. And I'd love to be able to have a conversation with each and every one of you that's interested to talk about what that dragon is and how to help you shift it for you.
I feel now, Linda, I'm feeling pretty good that I can claim all dragons, and it just depends on what layer you're coming in. Like, okay, so I'm like, okay, because today or like this week, I think maybe every dragon might have come in at least for a moment. And maybe one stayed longer than the other, So, there's certain parts in our day, or we wake up and we have a dragon right there just doing its thing. And so I like that you're going to be listening, give them an idea what dragon that is. And you had 5?
There are 5. There may be more, but I talk about the 5.
Yeah. And so you have 5 dragons, but you're really letting somebody get to see themselves, because it's that connection. It's that connection. So I really love your story, my friend. 2 years ago, I have a friend that she's a friend because I've been seeing her all these years. And at my ranch here, I have retreats. She's been coming for years for these retreats, and she brings her daughter. And every time that her daughter would come to the ranch, she's in a wheelchair, she expresses so much with a smile, or if she's frustrated. And I knew when I would talk to her, she would light up, but I didn't fully understand that she was lighting up because of her experience and what she was, going through as she was here. And about a couple of years ago, I cried to my friend Brenna, and I just said, Brenna, I didn't understand the depths of what is happening. And I appreciate you bringing your daughter here. So, Linda, when you bring up your daughter and you're talking about the brows and the finger, what it does for me is it says, wake up for myself. These things, we stop ourselves. And if I could hold your daughter and it's being that experience of what you're sharing, and when I look at Brenna's daughter, because the communication's different, it's the feeling that, Rhonda, wake up. When you get up in the morning, whatever's holding you back, whatever dragon is holding you back, and this is what I got, is that everything's going to be okay. Because you're here and you get to experience stuff, and you get to do what your daughter did for you in the span of time that she was with you. I appreciate that. And I love how you do it in a present sense, that she actually is here right now, but physically you had to say goodbye to her because she was such a deep spirit while she was physically here. And what we're learning by you sharing that story, I can feel so much more about just the brows. I'm like seeing these brows just moving. Come on, experts. I know you felt some things. I'm seeing all these hearts and things in the Fresh Inspiration Show. Let's start sharing. Anybody, just jump in.
I just appreciate you sharing your story. I hear stories all day long, and that's one of the best parts of my job, is being able to connect with people and their journeys. So thank you for sharing and sharing your dragons. Man, those dragons, they're I'm cursed too, but whew, they're not so welcome.
Well, and I want to comment about that, because I know earlier, Sabine, is it Sabina or Sabine? I've heard it both ways.
It's Sabina, and I pronounce it with an A, Sabina, because
Okay,
English
thank you.
doesn't work with a German name.
Okay, thank you, Sabina. So Sabina talked about not wanting to fight her cancer, not wanting to battle it. And I know when I talk about dragons, almost the first thing is slay the dragons. And it's like, tame the dragons, because they're going to be there. And it's how quickly we notice them and what do we do to shift it. And that's a very similar theme. So dancing with them, playing with them, allowing them to be, yes, sometimes we wish they weren't there, but how can we adapt to them and deal with them as best as possible?
And Linda, that's life though, huh? Like, because I love how you brought up Sabina, and then what you're speaking about too. It's like and also I think a lot of us are talking about that theme of, not fighting, or the fight was there, and being able to let go and be with it. And so Mike Stewart said, we all have those dragons, we just give them different names. And Mike, you may be swearing, I don't know, you're like, oh, that's a dragon over there. And my new thing is actually swearing, because all my life I didn't, and now I just feel so on purpose. It just gets me so freaked out that for some reason words come out, I go, here, where'd that shit word come from? Like, I would not talk like that. Now I do. Thank you. We have more people, and I'm going to hold the space. Let's just keep adding into this. Thank you. Anybody else want to share?
I just wanted to say, I love the dragon imagery, and just thinking about what dragons symbolize, namely wisdom. They're teachers of wisdom, and they're sitting on that hoard of treasure. So if you can work with your dragon, you can access the treasure. And I love the different personality types that you put in there, because we all struggle with this all the time, and it's learning to be aware of it and take that choice. I love what you taught there. And thank you for your story.
Thank you.
And Janine posted in here about, you know, that she related with all the naming, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm that person, I'm this person. So thank you, Janine, for posting. Mike said, if we become comfortable with addressing our dragons, they become less threatening. I know we've been talking about the gifts of this, huh, Mike? Yeah, I so appreciate you, friend, really participating. Thank you. Anybody else want to share? All right, I know this is intense. So it's definitely a very intense story, and I appreciate you so much, Linda. Thank you, Linda Shively. Linda Shively has been featured as an expert in Wall Street Journal. This is what you've been hearing. Linda Shively speaking about these dragons and the clarity that she's able to share with you. She's a best-selling author, award-winning speaker, neuroscience. We're talking about Linda Shively. She just spoke. And mindset expert. She has presented across the country at places from Walmart and Carnegie Hall. Think about those big businesses and stuff. Isn't this great that we're locking arms together in our expertise in what we're doing? Linda has been a multiple time guest and host on cable television, featured in films with Winona Ryder, Jeff Daniels, and even performed at the Rose Bowl for over 90,000 people. After healing from an abusive marriage, navigating the diagnosis and eventual death of her 3-year-old daughter, Linda found her way to bounce and reclaim her joy in life. Now she empowers growth-minded individuals to take action, to stop beating themselves up so that they can be the best self and live in joy and true joy. Linda has studied brain and mind functioning over 30 years. And you can hear that. Linda, do you hear that when Linda was talking about the different ways and how she was explaining the dragons? You know, in the mindset, she's really understanding the flow there. Earning psych biology degree from UCLA, is a certified master life and executive coach, a master practitioner, neuro-linguistic programming, and a certified laughter yoga leader. Linda, I can see with all this serious stuff, like I've done this, I've done that. Oh, also I love to laugh.
I do. It's great.
I know you are wonderful, my friend, and it's wonderful to have you here, and I'm enjoying the experiences that you're sharing. And we're going to bring Janeen in. Anything else before we transition?
Just go take that quiz.
Go take the quiz. Find out where you are. Get that clearing. Holding the space for that for a moment, that was big. Each person is like, whoa. You see all the nuggets and the flow of the Fresh Inspiration show and how we're doing this and the theme to really help you. And I love that we're going to have Sheryl up at the latter component, because I'm going to invite Janeen Olmos in. But what's going to be great about Sheryl is that I like to have Sheryl like where she is, because she's going to tie a bow around that flow. You've already heard how Sheryl speaks and the flow that she does. So she's going to help tie that bow when we get to the end of our 3 stars of this hour. Janeen Olmos, you've gotten to know her quite a bit today. And the vulnerability and the transition that Janeen's in right now is showing up so strong today. I love being around that. I don't stop being my 4-year-old child. And Janeen is showing up in her most authentic, energetic space. But you know there's a strength in that backbone that is just beautiful when you show up like that, because that's the feminine. That's the beauty of the feminine. Let me give you a lowdown here of Janeen as a coach, and also some of the therapy stuff. Janeen Olmos is a coach, speaker, and consultant for high-achieving professionals in various industries. They are feeling maxed out physically, emotionally, and have lost their passion for their work and may be in danger of losing their careers they spent years developing. Janeen offers individual and group coaching to help professionals develop resilience, to stand back up and perform at their best personally and professionally, as well as reclaim joy. Theme here, joy. And Sabina, I love when Sabina does the comparison of happiness and joy. Let's get back to Janeen. As a consultant, Janeen offers to transform organizations prone to burnout into resilient organizations focused on service, well being for everyone, teamwork, and low employee turnover. Oh, Janine, you're speaking my style. Corporate. It was very difficult for me. Couldn't find my way staying in it because I really bounced. I really kind of moved out of it. But I love the work that you're doing. Janine is professionally licensed mental health and addiction therapist, certified resilience coach, has spent decades in the corporate world, and is uniquely qualified to help others as she has been involved in her own personal growth and recovery for decades. Janine, welcome in. Welcome in.
Thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome in.
so glad to be here. What a refreshing break in my day.
Thank you, my friend.
So where do I start?
Where do
I
you want to start, my friend?
feel like I need to start a little bit with my background, how I kind of got here. It's been kind of a journey,
Yeah.
as we all have had, right? You don't get here without some influence in your past, for sure. So I grew up on a dairy farm, actually about 45 minutes from where I'm sitting currently. And, dairy farms, they're all about work. You can't take a vacation because the cows still need to be taken care of. And so I learned a very strong work ethic, a lot of humility growing up on the farm in a small town. So I learned some really amazing things. What I didn't learn was emotional intelligence, how to tolerate my emotions, how to communicate my emotions, and how to get my needs met in a healthy way. So I looked for, whatever I could find. And what I found was boys. So, I got involved with them. And then I got involved with a teacher when I was in high school. And that really kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't realize how much of an impact that would have on me until about 12 years later, when I discovered that I had a problem with sexually compulsive behavior. And I went to treatment for 60 days. So, I'd gotten married at a young age. I didn't know how to do emotional intimacy. I hurt my first husband very deeply. I hurt my children that I had in that marriage. I hurt his family, my family, and everybody else that was involved. So I ended up, I really hit a bottom. It was awful. I was ashamed of who I was. I hated who I was. I didn't want to take care of myself. I was borderline suicidal, but there was something about taking my own life that just terrified me. So I didn't go there. But luckily, I had some really smart people in my life who referred me to treatment. And so I went. And I learned more about myself in 60 days than I had in the 30 some years before then. It was the greatest gift I ever allowed somebody to give me. And I gave myself, I had to do the work. I had to do the work to figure out what was going on. I learned that the relationship I had with the teacher was abusive. I had no idea. I learned that I went through emotional neglect as a child, and I'm not blaming my parents. My parents have come a long way since then, that's for sure. But, now we say we love each other. We show we love each other. It's been a beautiful thing. And, but I must say there's a lot of damage in there because there's 3 counselors in my family, 3 counselors. So that says a lot about, the fact that work isn't everything. You need to look at the emotional part of your life too. So after treatment, came back. I had been in corporate for a long time, so I know the corporate grind. It's relentless. But then I started to realize that this wasn't for me. I needed something more emotionally fulfilling. I'd missed that part of my life for so long. I needed something different. So I went back to school, got my grad degree, and I've been doing counseling and coaching ever since. I use a lot of coaching in my counseling. We talk about the dragons, but we call them negative cognitions. That's what they're called in the therapy world. And so one of the greatest gifts that I've learned on my journey is self-compassion. It has been a life changer to have compassion for myself and not blame myself. Oh, that may be another dragon you could do, is the blaming one, blaming myself.
Hey, Janeen, can I tell you that I'm loving your story,
Mhm.
and want to just add in, I know you're going with this flow, so I hope I get to keep helping you flow with this. Mike Stewart said doing the work is the hardest, but it is also the most rewarding. And I see that you're sharing that.
Yeah, that's what drove me to go back to school to get my master's in counseling, is because my counselors were so amazing in therapy, in my treatment, that I wanted to pay it forward. I'm like, how can I stop using what I've learned here and not share it with others?
Mm-hmm.
And I am so grateful to be able to share this gift of healing with other people. It's definitely my purpose, I think. And it's definitely a passion for sure, because I want other people to feel the joy again, because that trauma and everything else we go through will rob it. No doubt about that. So back to self-compassion. Let's learn about that a little bit today. Not everybody knows what it is. It's kind of self-explanatory if you think about it. Self-compassion involves us just being kind to ourselves. If we had to boil it down to one simple sentence, it's treating ourselves like we would a great friend, someone we really love and care about, but it's learning to hold that for ourselves. Because I think when we go through trauma and neglect, we learn to hear other people's voices, like Linda said. We learn to hear their voices over our own voice. We lose our contact with our intuition and the voices that say, hey, maybe that isn't true about me. Maybe I'm really not unworthy. Maybe I am lovable. But those voices get buried in all the stuff we go through. So we do have to unearth the dragons and face them and learn to embrace them and give them compassion. And I stumbled across this concept of a self-compassion a few years ago when I was doing therapy with adults who were really struggling in their fields. And we had to get them back to work. That was the main goal, getting them back to work, loving their career again and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm like, what is it that these people need? What is it? What is it? What is it? And I just stumbled across self-compassion. So thank you, Dr. Kristen Neff, for this concept and sharing it with us, because it's been amazing. So rather than using the self-judgment or the dragons, we use kindness towards ourselves. Rather than isolating and feeling shame and separating ourselves from everyone, we heal by connecting with others, by connecting with ourselves, and by sharing the fact that we all suffer. We all suffer, just in different ways. And then the last piece of self-compassion is being mindful with our emotions rather than drowning in them, rather than getting stuck in them and not being able to get out. We just observe them, we notice them, we use them for information, but we don't allow them to direct our lives. And that definitely takes some work for sure. But those are the three components of self-compassion: self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness. And there's two types of self-compassion. There is a tender self-compassion, which is the loving, nurturing, I love you, we can make it through this. This is really hard right now. We might hate it. However, we're not the only ones suffering. There's a lot of suffering going on in this world, and we are allowed to be kind to ourselves. So that's the tender kind of self-compassion. And then there's also this fierce self-compassion, with Dr. Neff just came out with a book called Fierce Self-Compassion. Haven't read it yet, but I'm excited to, because it's like when we start healing from all this junk in our past that's held us back, we can start to stand up for ourselves. We can start to stand up for others. We can be protective. We can set boundaries. We can not tolerate people's stuff that try to bring us down, because I definitely believe that not only do we have dragons, but there's other dragons that other people are trying to overwhelm with or overtake us. Other people's dragons are trying to overtake us. And so having that fierce self-compassion where we're like, yeah, no, we're not going to take that anymore. We used to, but we're not going to take it anymore. So I love that piece of self-compassion. And
me too. I'm
sorry.
loving this stuff, Janeen, loving it.
Thank you. So a lot of people may think that self-compassion is a sign of weakness. A lot of people think that it's self-pity, it's self-indulgence, you're being selfish. Some people even think that self-compassion is self-esteem, but it's not. There's a difference between self-confidence and self-esteem. And other people think that self-compassion is allowing you to avoid responsibility for your actions because you're focusing on the emotion and caring for yourself through it. However, self-compassion is the complete opposite of those things. Self-compassion is about taking responsibility. It's about us being authentic, as you've mentioned a few times today, Rhonda, being authentic with ourselves and being honest with ourselves about how we're hurting ourselves and how we're hurting others. So it's not that it takes a lot of courage to do that. Not everybody can be as courageous to look at themselves and admit how they're hurting themselves and how they're hurting others. And that's what self-compassion allows us to do in a safe, kind of nurturing way. So some awesome things about self-compassion. Okay, so what else I want to talk about today is the benefits of self-compassion. Dr. Neff and among others have done a lot of research on self-compassion. Self-compassion has been shown to reduce symptoms of anxiety, depression, stress, rumination, like racing thoughts, shame, negative Nancy, and all those other dragons that we heard about a little bit ago. Body image, reducing the negative body image that we have, and burnout, of course, among many other things. So it's shown to reduce that. If we just show ourselves a little kindness, it's amazing. And what it brings back to us when we give ourselves a little self-compassion and kindness is overall well-being, health, motivation, inspiration, honesty, personal accountability, as I mentioned, how to cope with things, a resilience, which I think is crucial in our world, is resilience, better romantic relationships, concern for others, and a whole host of other benefits, including joy, the great elusive joy.
There's that joy.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you, Janine. Can you have both then, the self-compassion on, so it's like you have the gentle tenderness side and you also have the fierce side with that? Can that show up in different ways? So it's not different levels you're talking about, but really that kind of plays together in different aspects, or how does that work?
Yeah, I think, we all have these different parts of ourselves for sure. And I think at times we're really going to need the tenderness, the really loving, gentle, nurturing side of self-compassion. And then at times we're really going to have to stand up for ourselves. Because what I love about self-compassion is it's really an ultimate responsibility for our well-being, not at the expense of others' well-being. We still have to protect their well-being as well, but it's our well-being, because honestly, if we think about it, no one's going to show up for us more than ourselves.
Yeah.
No one.
Mike said, I'm sorry. Mike said self-compassion is a part of good self-care practice. We listen to our body and thoughts without judgment. We create new awareness. And Mike was also bringing up that he looks in the mirror. It's like this thing where almost like I got your back. He says, I created a habit of talking to myself. Whenever I look in the mirror, I smile at myself and I say, you are enough.
Oh, I love that. Heart emoji.
Do you
Thank you
need,
for sharing.
so for the example that I'm hearing when you were talking about like the real gentle side of self-compassion, like I just feel it here, or I can feel it a lot with my husband, like just like, like I could just sit with it and people, um, even sometimes when I first meet them, I can just feel like, because I can feel that give and take back and forth. And we've been talking about this, just like showing up and how we treat others is like when you're feeling this, then you're giving that out also. And so we've been bringing up the word joy. And so I love how you're bringing those two things, because we were talking about like that fierce part too. So Jeannie, am I showing up like in this fierce self-compassion? I'm like, and I just like a swear word comes out, like I'm just fierce, like nobody's gonna tell me like this because I've been being pushed on this area. Now I realize that I've been in this space where I've been allowing some things to happen. I need to clean some things in my relationships, and really so they understand that that this is not working. And then you start getting really like nice and just is
Yes.
that how that one shows up?
Yes. I mean, if you think about some of the comments I made in the chat,
Yeah.
like fierce self-compassion is knowing I need to reconnect with my intuition, right? And fighting for it.
Yeah.
I mean, not fighting with it, but standing up and saying, I need intuition. I need to do the work to get myself reconnected with my intuition. And that to me is fierce self-compassion. But it's also like mama bear, helping protect others who maybe don't have those great boundaries. We help protect them as well.
I love
Goodness, I find my mama bear coming out with clients all the time. I got to
Me
control
too.
her.
Yeah, well, they said, what? Let's talk about that. That feeling of like wanting to protect a client is so funny.
Right? It's like I just
Yeah.
feel it coming up
Yeah.
from my gut, right?
I know.
You feel
Oh,
it coming up and you're like, okay, we're going to work on that. I got to hold myself back and not get all angry because they might get scared.
The Fresh
I'm like,
Inspiration Show. I love that Mike is adding in here. Do you need any more nuggets you were trying to share today as I've been chiming in, because I just love playing with you? Is there anything, did you get what you wanted to capture to make sure
yeah,
that
I think I got most of it for sure. You can find all of this on the self-compassion.org website. It's very thorough. You can even take a quiz on there and find out if you're lacking in one of those areas of self-compassion. So she does a really great job on the website.
And I see, Janine, that you're giving social media connections here, huh? Like how they can get connect with you, Instagram, Clubhouse, Facebook,
Yeah.
and where your website is and stuff. Anything that you want to, are they going to be handing out today? Like you want them to go somewhere? How else would you like to directly connect with you? Is it through social media or any? What else you
Yeah,
want
you
to
can
send them?
connect with me there, or Janeen at janeenolmos.com is my email.
So that'd be your URL then. So it must be your website location then to the
Yes.
janeenolmos.com.
Yes. And you can even schedule, a brief discussion with me on my website. You can email me and we can chat for a bit to see what you need to get you out of burnout or maybe some other things that are holding you back. Because that's we can definitely dig a little bit. But what I love about coaching is we don't dig quite as deep as therapy. We get you moving forward. We get you in the present and moving forward out of all that ick in the past.
Yeah, I love when you and I were talking about that too, because Janine and I were discussing, like, well, okay, so why are you going to coaching when you're been doing this therapy, and like the therapy work really, brought Janine to us, but the coaching, she has a specific reason of like, I love looking forward, and that's the safety of the coaches, is that when you're looking forward, then those things in the back will come. Because we're having this discussion back and forth. It's incredible. So the fresh inspiration show, like when you're looking at that, that's where you can make the decision if what you are looking for. And Janine and also Linda, also kind of in that space of understanding those things where sometimes in the space, if you're a professional, you may sit with the things in the past because that's what you do in your practice. But it sounds like being with Janine, she's going to bring that experience, but she's really helping you look forward. And that's a lot about feeling good enough too, because you're looking forward. You're not like sitting here just saying, okay, I want to hold this story and play with this and work with this. It's like, yeah, you can do that and make friends with it because that's a good thing, but you can also look at how that's affecting you moving forward. And so I love the coaching industry. Thank you, my friend, for bringing that up. Anybody else want to add in with how you feel about what Janine's talking about? Thanks, Mike. Mike said, have a blessed day.
You too, Mike.
I think what you were just talking about with the moving forward, because that is the beauty of what those of us as coaches do is, you know, we don't have to sit in the past. You know, we might visit it temporarily to get some lessons and learnings, but it's all about moving forward. And
Love that. I didn't realize until I researched coaching that, oh my gosh, it's this gift, because, you know, therapy, they don't always teach you about how to move forward. You know, luckily I learned that in treatment. So I love that coaching does that automatically. It's a gift for sure.
yes.
Anybody else want to add in? Anybody want to talk, ask a question for Janine? Yeah, just breathing this in.
Thank you for sharing your story, because I know we each have stories and not everyone may be ready to share it, but when you are and you have dealt with it and can share it to help other people, it's very powerful. So thank you for helping other people.
My
Yeah,
pleasure.
Janine, my goodness. I really, what I kept hearing while you were talking about transformation, because everything was about, you know, not working for yourself. You were just like stuck in a cycle that you don't have the tools, you don't understand, you don't have this IQ of emotion, which when I was younger, I was like, well, what does emotional IQ mean? Am I smart or am I not emotionally? And I realized that I was at a low level too. Just, you know, and it's really cool because then you go, oh, then you get to play with tools to be able to really increase that. So it's almost like going to school. And I shouldn't say almost, it is going to school, but it's in a different way. And so you can level yourself up in so many ways when you have the emotional IQ. And I know I said to myself many times in a loving way, grow up, Rhonda, grow up. And it was like this loving, like nurturing thing around me saying, you've been playing something too long, and allow yourself to grow. And it's a vulnerable space. Like I want to hold myself and say, and I do. And so I really appreciate that vulnerability in those stories. Wow. I like when people show up like that. Everybody, ladies, we're doing a great job today. So appreciate you. Thank you, my friend. Sheryl, are you ready, my friend? Are you ready? Miss Bernstein? And if you saw Cheryl's unmuting herself at some point, we decide to show up, Sheryl. You know, we feel like arriving.
I only teach people how to be on camera, and I forgot to unmute myself.
It's
See?
so cute.
And
Hey,
you go with it. You just go with it.
just go with the flow, mama.
Yep.
Okay, so did everybody see Sheryl Bernstein's video? Sheryl knows that video just hit my soul. Like every time I see Sheryl, she's like, what do you want, Rhonda? No, she's not like that. But she knows what I want. You know, I love movies. And
It's
I
all
love,
the interpretation of, it's not, what do you want, Rhonda? It was, what would you like, Rhonda? It's the interpretation.
I'm right here to entertain, Mama. What do you want? Because you entertain me with your vocals. You entertain me with the way that you say things. So your comedy. Now, the first woman being at was it Punchline? Laughs on them. What were you when you first started doing your comedy?
Uh, well, I wasn't the first woman in comedy, but I was the only
No,
woman.
I didn't finish it. First woman.
Oh,
What?
first woman.
What comedy center were you at that you were the first woman walking? I thought there was a stat
Woman
here that I
walking?
really liked. That there was something about at the
Was,
punchline or
well, I was at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles in the Improv, and all kinds of chuckle huts and ha-ha cafes all around the country. Little, but the first woman you might be thinking of, it was the first two-woman talk team in Morning Drive on LA radio. That might be the first thing you're thinking of.
well, Cheryl, I just think you might have started this whole comedy. So maybe it's just me.
You thought I started?
Comedy was not around
I invented it.
until Cheryl arrived.
I invented it.
Yeah,
Yep.
invented. And so if you saw her video, you want to catch it because she even has a scene where she's with Billy Crystal. And I'm like, oh, no way. But there's also interviews you see with Cheryl, and you're going to notice the stars in there. So um, Cheryl is a person that really does share about how to be in your space behind the camera because it's a very scary space to be. It's just, like when you're doing virtual and you want to really feel that you're with somebody. But if you don't feel comfortable with some things that she goes through, she has like a 5-star kind of way of sharing that. And we did a 6-week expert series. So you want to check into that because there's extreme good nuggets about like what we were just recently talking about, growing your emotional IQ for yourself. And she has a way of saying it for what she's going to talk about today for Cheryl, presenting what she's going to be doing today. So Cheryl has a lot of information out there in our group right now, most recently. So welcome in, my friend. What are we going to be talking about today in your expert space, Mama?
We're going to be talking about being comfortable and confident whenever you show up, wherever you show up,
Okay.
on camera, on stage. Hopefully, we're going back to being live on stage. There's nothing like being live in a room, but being comfortable and confident and how you can get there. I have a couple of tips and a couple of stories. So that's what I'm talking about.
My friend, take the stage and the red carpet. One thing though, when I started the Fresh Inspiration Show, Cheryl was one of the people that was by my side.
That's
And we played a lot with like the vision of it. And Cheryl was like, Rhonda, I get what you're saying because she knew I was a speaker. She was like, get what you're saying, but I'm not getting the concept. And because you're going to notice that the Fresh Inspiration Show, where I get so excited, is what Cheryl does. Like she's been in the movies. I think vocals are, like they're singing to me. And she uses her words just so beautifully. And so I was sharing that with Cheryl, like probably 3.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And she was like, huh. And I said, yeah, I want people to feel like they can do these discussions, but it's not a speaker circuit. And so this is what you're seeing. So Cheryl, I love you and thank you for being there at the beginning of what I was trying to adventure in and share what this is. Do I have it dialed in enough? Does it seem like you knew what this was all about?
now, yeah.
See,
Absolutely.
there you go. You helped me.
Very clear, very clear. And we had such a blast back then, right? We went to Vegas together, baby. We were on stage, we were talking, we had a booth. It was so much fun. So much fun. And that's what Rhonda created and made happen. But I learned from a very, very, very early age that being out doing what you love, being seen, doing what you love will bring you more of that. I was in 3rd grade, pardon me. And, you go out in the playground, right? You go in a break and you're out in the playground. This is in Buffalo, New York, where I grew up. And I was telling the story of little rabbit Fumf Fumf going through the forest, picking up the field mice. I don't like this part, bopping them on the head. I don't like that. I love animals, but I was telling this fun story and you have hand movements and a little crowd gathered around me. And everybody was listening to me doing my little story. I was just having fun telling the story. And then we went back up into the classroom and my teacher, Miss Smith, I still remember her. She said, what was, I saw something going on down there. She could see because we were on the second floor in our classroom. She could see down in the playground. She said, what was that? What was all that around you? And I said, well, I was telling the story of Little Rabbit Foof Foof. She said, oh, would you like to tell the class? And I'm like, yeah. So I get up in front of the class. You know, I was a ham back then. I was the first one raising my hand when you're going to read out loud. You know, I show and tell, let me show. So I told the story of Little Rabbit Foof Foof and the kids loved it and they clapped. Miss Smith sent me on tour of the other third grades. And I got to go to every third grade and tell the story. It was like the beginning of my stand-up comedy career. And I learned way back then, I don't know if I consciously learned it, but looking back, I see everywhere along the way, I've been doing what I love, what lights me up, what I find joy in doing, which is bringing laughter and now with coaching, clarity and ability to people I speak to. So being out there doing and what you love, being what you love and being seen. It's doing and being, doing what you love and being seen, I think is a key to opening up to being able to do even more. Now, I do know that being on camera can be a very scary thing if you've never done it before. Even people who are on stage and love to speak in front of live audience find it difficult to speak to just that little lens because there's nothing coming back. There's no energy coming back to you. And that I totally understand it. And that's where practice comes in. It does take a minute to get to know who you are on camera, to get comfortable with who you are in front of that computer or your phone, if you're recording on your phone, which is, they've made everything so easy for us. If you want to get out there and speak and you want to do videos, the mechanics of it are very easy, but the emotional piece, I understand, can really get in your way and stop you because you don't know what to do. All those thoughts we talked about come up of, I don't think I'm good enough, if you're comparing yourself to others who maybe have done it longer. But I'm here to tell you that you can do it. You are enough. If you don't know what to do, there are so many places to learn. Learning what to do is going to help so much, because part of the feeling of I'm not enough is not knowing how to do what it is you want to do. And also everything that everybody has spoke about already today, I believe comes into play in doing video, being seen. It falls into making offers. You know, if you're an entrepreneur and coach, all of those things come into play. And I wrote them down as they were being mentioned. Intuition. I use my intuition a lot on who I'm speaking to, what I'm speaking about. Expectations. If you have expectations of what you think you're supposed to be or how good you're supposed to be or who you're supposed to be, that'll get in the way because you are supposed to be you. Self-compassion, big piece of being comfortable on video and really letting yourself be out there, whether it's on a Zoom meeting like this, you doing videos for your program, you doing Facebook Lives, you being on an interview or a summit or speaking to somebody else's group. Self-compassion is a huge freedom giver. And when I say self-compassion, I mean, if you're watching a video back of yourself, what I always tell people to do is look at it with the eye of a director, not the eye of a critic. Yes, getting better at doing video, absolutely. There can be things you can do to help you look, sound, and and speak the way you would love to. That all comes from practice, learning, getting better. But when you do look back at a video, look at it with the eye of a director, which here's the difference between a critic and a director. A director would be looking at, you'd be looking at your video saying, I think my lighting could be a little bit better. I'm not as bright as I'd like to be. Or, oh, my background, I want to change the background. It's not quite speaking to the people the way I'd like it to. I think your background should say something about you. It should fit you and the people you're speaking to. So you're looking at your video with the eye of a director of what would I like to change and how could I change it? A critic would look at the video and go, oh, look at that. Look at your skin. Oh my gosh, you sounded so dumb there. What is wrong with you? I'm never doing it again. That's a critic. A director is improving, looking for how you want to be. So self-compassion, big. Are you running an old story about yourself? Are you running an old story about yourself and who you think you are on camera? Be here now. Be who you are now. And that moves right into the present moment, being present in this moment. Comparison. Here's something I heard a long time ago when I would see somebody that I admired and they were further ahead than me or doing more than I was at the time. I was told this little tidbit to look at that person and not think, oh, they're so good. I'm never going to be able to do that. Or even look at them with envy, like, oh, well, who do they think they are? None of that. You look at that person that you admire, that you would like to become like, but in your way, and say, that's for me. That's where I'm going. That's what I'm going to do. And then you find your way to it. The present moment I talked about. And then purpose. I know so many people, they think, what's my purpose? What's my purpose? You know what? Your purpose is you. You already are it. Tag, you're it. Your purpose is who you are and what you're already doing. Pretty much you came in with it. And the other piece that I want to mention is gratitude and appreciation. I am so grateful every day for my life, for my limbs, for my home, my friends, my ability, the trees, my kitties. I am so grateful for everything in my life. And you can be very grateful for where you are, what you are doing, what you have, what's going on, even while you're creating whatever the new is that you want to go to, even while you're going to the next level. And that's in video too. I say, love yourself on video and keep practicing and going further. Now, there's a whole bunch of things that we went into. And if you go back through, is it on this page, on the Facebook page, when I went through the 5 points of trying to Starshine Visibility. So you want to go back and check those. And that's a great training for you. But the other thing I want to say, here's a real way. These are things that I kind of live by. I wrote them down because I don't consciously think of them, but this is how I get stuff done, including video. Hey, some days I think, I don't want to do it. I don't know what I'm going to say. My hair doesn't look good. But on those days, almost actually every day, here are the 5 Bs, the 5 Bs that I think are very helpful for video and anything, actually, anything. Number 1, believe. Believe that this is going to work. If you start out thinking, this is going to suck, I don't think anybody's going to want it. Who's going to listen? You start out with that mindset. I mean, that's like right into the dumper. We want to believe the best because you can choose. You could think this is going to suck or this is going to be great. I choose that this is going to be great. Changes everything. Even when you say, if you say to yourself, this is going to suck, feel how you feel. I mean, I literally sunk down when I said that. And when I say, this is going to be great with enthusiasm, it's a whole different thing. Changes your energy. So believe. And then this number 2, this is the biggest thing that I use in all my life. Begin. Just begin. I have found that I can hem and haw about something. And I forgot, somebody mentioned about time in our earlier hour, that, you know, you wait and wait and wait and wait. And then time has decided for you, you're not doing that thing, miss the opportunity, over. So begin. I have found that if I just begin, and this could be writing an email, doing a video, clearing out all the stuff I threw into my guest room during last year, which I look at and go, oh, begin. But I find when I begin, the thing takes over. The thing takes over, especially if you have a little plan and you know what to do. Begin. So believe, begin. Box yourself in. Box yourself in. What does that mean? That means give yourself a deadline that you are going to have this video done by. For instance, if you want to post a video on Facebook Live, you go on 2 days before and say, hey, watch me on Wednesday. I'm posting a live here about, pick your topic. That's boxing yourself in. Or even setting up a webinar or setting up a challenge, something where you set yourself up that you have announced you're going to do this thing, and box yourself in and then work towards that. I find that a deadline, at least for me and most of the people I know, is like magic. Somehow you got that deadline, you go, okay, I'm going to do it for that. I'm going to do it for that. I'm going to get it done. And you do, because we can wait. We can find all kinds of excuses like, oh, I can't do it now. I have to go outside and look at a squirrel. I don't know. So that's it. Believe, begin, box yourself in, be brave, and be bold. There is a little bit of bravery that comes into being on, to being seen, to speaking. So be brave. Just be brave. Just barrel on through. Be brave and be bold. Be bold. And this is where loving what you speak about, what you talk about, loving it comes in, because you can be bold and brave and be out there if you love what you're talking about. And the other one is bask in the glory of completion. When you have finished this thing, yeehaw, give yourself a cookie, have a reward, do something, celebrate that win. Celebrate that win. So believe, begin, box yourself in, be brave and bold, and bask in the glory of completion. And one other thing I want to say about be brave and be bold. It's a funny thing about being on video, because it's all about you, but it's not about you. It is all about you because you're the one who's on, you're the one here if you're speaking. I mean, if you're doing a slide presentation and you're not on, that's different, but you're still speaking. It's you. You've gotten the talk ready. You've got yourself ready. You did the background. It's you on camera. But the reason for the practice and the rehearsal is so that when you get on, it's all second nature. Like when you drive your car and you don't realize how you got from your home to the store because you're doing it automatically, that I'm taking in my computer, my lights, my microphone, my background. This is all second nature. It's all just there. I just flip on my light, open my computer, ready to go. And it's second nature so that I can concentrate on the person I'm talking to. And it is, you do want to kind of make it one person that you're talking to. You can even put a little person that you love and that loves you and that maybe fits the people that you want this message to go to, you can put them right next to that lens so that you're talking to that person, and choose somebody who does think you are the bee's knees, who loves everything you say, who comes to you for advice, can't wait to hear what you say. And that's where the be bold and be brave will fit right in. And you being the leader and not the follower. The follower is expecting to get energy back from the listener, a nod, something like, you're okay. When you're the leader, you don't even need that, because you're leading, because what you're saying is true. You're being authentic and you're being you. And you believe that what you're going to do is going to be helpful to somebody. It's going to entertain them. It's going to change their mind. It's going to help them move over some obstacle, because you are the leader. And that is the gist of being on video. You're the leader, you believe, you begin and go. But practice is really important.
I guess that's how you can be, huh? Cheryl, I love the component. There's so many. I love the component about leader,
Yeah.
and so the separation of some people are afraid to be leaders because they may see it in a negative way, because I go, oh, that person, I'm not going to listen to them, I don't want to be a leader. And that's like that feeling that somebody's not really in their heart center and really leading something. It could be somebody's accidentally an ego and they're leading something, you're like, ooh, poo, yucky. I love how you're saying this, is that you are a leader, in that all of a sudden it's really not about you. You've already done your practice and you're a leader. And that leader, what you were saying, and I want to make sure there's an emphasis here, is that you're like in your heart, your being, people are naturally following because you're guiding, you've done your practice, your hours or your time. And it can be that you're a newbie at whatever you're doing, but it just feels like you're in your passion. And so you can be a leader whenever you decide you're going to let go of that story of like, I'm not good enough. And all the other things that you said about giving insight on in that area.
And it does take a little doing.
Yeah.
It takes a little doing to get comfortable with
Yeah.
being here and to feel what it's like to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think anybody who's here who has a little inkling of something that they want to teach or inspire or transform or help heal or show someone how to do, there's the calling that you have to be a leader. And people need leaders.
Yeah.
We need leaders. I need a leader for where I want to go to my next level.
Mm-hmm.
People need leaders. And if you have that inkling, that little sparkle, that little light in you, guess what? You're it.
You're up next.
You're up.
When I was 19, I was asked to go in the health industry, and there were things about me that somebody caught in me, and I just kept saying no, 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 no. But I did that one little step, which was allow somebody to speak more in my ear about like what their idea was and why I was saying no. So
Mm.
all the steps that you gave and the insight, and is it your time? Is your time to come on? Let's get you out there. Let's stop messing around. And we were talking about time earlier. Yeah, no, we don't have time, but we do when you're loving on it and you're growing in the space that you want to. But putting the feet in the sand, come on, let's get it rocking.
Something else somebody once said to me, and you probably may have heard this, you might think, oh, it'll take me 6 months before I'm at the place I want to be. That 6 months is going by anyway.
Yeah.
It's going by anyway. So you might as well be practicing, doing, improving, getting better, learning to be the leader, to be seen, to be the one of many leaders.
Right. Like we all in this community, right? Today with the Fresh Inspiration Show, you showing up and people are going to see it recording also to us being together, and you didn't see any ego flow where somebody's like, move aside. I got some more better information. It doesn't happen in this space, because I really believe that we can all be actually doing the same exact thing, but it just looks different on the person when you get to learn what Cheryl's talking about, is really getting to know yourself and what your why is, and knowing why you're speaking. Like why are you speaking, and
Why
make truth of it. Like,
Why are you talking?
are you talking?
I want to just say one thing about what you just said. All of us here could be speaking about the same thing. It just looks different coming from our angle. That's the thing too. There is somebody for everybody. You know, somebody may not respond well to me. I might not be their cup of tea, but they might love Sabina
Yeah.
or Linda or anybody here. You know, there's a lid for every pot. That's an old dating term. There's a lid for every pot. There's somebody for everybody. And that's why there's such a wide variety. And you watching, you are somebody that somebody wants. You are somebody that somebody would love.
Cheryl, I felt cradled when you said that. When you
Oh,
moved like this.
oh,
Felt like,
honey.
That's what's great about virtual, is there's so much way to connect and be able to really share that. Hey, my stars of the show. Add in, what are you? I know that you've had to go through some breakthroughs, but please share with Cheryl, and then also Origins if you're around. Let's get you in layered in, because we're gonna go and just check in with you also. Unmute, speak. I know everybody's on video, so there's at least a little something.
Oh, this was amazing. Cheryl, thank you. Because even when you're really good, there's always ways to improve. And some of the nuances that you talked about today, it was great, because as I've been recording videos more and more, it's like, let me try that, or what about that, or that's a new nuance. And even if I've been doing it, it's an additional way or a reminder of why that's working or why that isn't working if I see somebody else doing that. So thank you. And it was fun.
You're welcome. And I'm glad.
Isn't Cheryl fun?
That's the piece that I think, and I know you said you love to laugh. That's a piece for me too. I want to have fun. I want to have fun.
And
Yeah, why are we doing this if we're not having fun doing it?
Right? Right?
Yeah.
Life's too
right.
short.
All right, who's up next? Let's give some love to Cheryl, as
Thank
Cheryl
you.
never has enough love.
Thank you, Cheryl. Really enjoyed that. And I agree with, yes, moving onto Facebook and onto videos has been a learning experience over the last year and a half. Thank you, Rhonda, for pushing. But this was a great outline. I really loved it. I was just taking notes, and I'm going to teach Toastmaster public speaking to a summer camp in August potentially. So I'm going to take some of your outline points there and say, look, girls, this is how you can get better at staying. I'm a Toastmaster, so I love overcoming that internal fear that we all have about public speaking when we start out. And you do a beautiful job helping me and everybody else move forwards to that next level. It's awesome.
Yeah. And it is just doing, like anything. You do it.
It's just doing. And that's the hardest thing to accept, and look in the mirror and say, it's just doing. It doesn't matter what you want. It's just one step, one step, one step. Put the director hat on, not the critic hat, and just go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you don't have to accept every video that you do. I delete a lot of them. In fact, the other day, just quick, I did a video. I wanted to do a little inviting to a thing I was doing to my list. And I went out and I recorded a beautiful one. I thought it was beautiful. I was doing a walk and talk. That's when you walk and you just talk to the phone like it's your friend. You know, you just carry the phone. Kitty, stop that. That kitty's scraping a piece of paper and making a lot of noise.
I
Um,
can hear your kitty.
and I finished it and I watched it back. And I don't know why I didn't see this in the mirror because I did check. I had a big smush of eyeliner all the way down here. And I'm going, should I just send it like that? And you're like, no. I was not pleased. So I did another. This time the garbage truck came by. Then I did a third. Lighting was horrendous. Do not do a video. And I know this, but somehow I thought I was in the good light, but direct sunlight, not going to be attractive. So then the fourth one, I finally got the way I wanted. I went in the shade. I was sitting down. I was steady and it worked. So 4 times the charm. You don't need to keep every video, but practicing will get you to know these things that you want to make sure of before you do a video so that it comes out the way you want first time.
Anybody else want to share?
I loved what you said about the director and the critic and the difference between those two. I think that can help us in everything we talked about today, is being more of a director in our lives instead of a critic.
Yeah. Great.
Love that.
Oh, breathe that in. Yeah. You know, and I feel like there's safety when you're having fun. You know, like if it's just all serious, it's like it feels clunky. You still stay in this, almost like it's like stale air. You're sitting in it. But when you start feeling that laughter and that flow, it's like, oh, wait, I feel better than I did just a minute ago. So the dance and the laughter and the play and with serious stuff is juicy stuff there, my friend.
Great.
Thank you, Cheryl. That just
My pleasure.
Thank you. And Cheryl, I don't know if we got a chance because I gave links here, but what is it that you are bringing people into? Because you're always creating some really cool things.
Well, I have a freebie that anybody can get, and it's called 10 Things to Know Before You Video to save you time, help you shine, and look like a pro. And there are 10 things, kind of like what I spoke about, but more nuts and bolts stuff about video to know going in. And it's at SherylBernstein.com/star. And you'll get a PDF and then a video every 3 days to go over each one of those 10 points. It's really fun, simple, easy. And if you are stuck, you want to do video, in fact, you put it on your calendar and then some magical thing happens to preclude you doing that video. Like you have to eat lunch. This may help you to actually I'm going to try that. I'm going to try what she said. I'm going to do that.
Sweet, my friend. Thank you. So does everybody know why Cheryl's been in my life for a while? Just like she just first nails it, just like everybody has here. So I guess you're going to be in my life forever. Everybody here, you're not leaving. Sorry. And then, but it's the thing about I really love being around laughter. So it's, even when we're talking about serious stuff, I'm still laughing. Cheryl's like, Rhonda, you're still laughing. I'm talking about, something serious. Did you ever say that to me? Because I'm laughing all the time.
I don't think so. I think I'm laughing with you.
I know exactly.
Laughter is the best medicine, by the way. Just say it.
I feel my whole body healing today. It's healing. I think every day we're in a healing space and we get to have that choice. Thank you. Oh, Sheryl, thank you. Bernstein, Mama, love of my life. You don't have many of them. So
Yes.
right here now, the love of my life.
I'm happy to be one of them.
Woohoo! Thank you. Lisa and Anna Maria, are you around, my friends? I love you too, ladies. I saw you unmute. So how are you doing, ladies? Did you get to catch? I know you have, you're at the store working. Did you catch any of this good stuff with all the stars of the show?
Yes, we did. We actually got to hear Linda and Sabine's stories, some wonderful, very touching special. Actually, I don't think Anna Maria nor myself were expecting what we heard today, and it was just very eye-opening. I think there was a lot of resonating with the dragons and so many other things with instead of fighting with the word cancer. And so yeah, we got to catch a few of them, ladies, and just a lot of true inspiration right there.
I love the self-love as well, and just overcoming all the obstacles that you've been experiencing in your life and being positive about it. So it's very emotional.
Yeah,
Lisa and I got really emotional.
Yeah. You guys are a special group of women.
Oh gosh. I love you ladies, and I will be able to comb through our comments and see, who's getting these spots for origins. And is there anything, I love that you shared that, because it's like I don't know how to live without having support from others in this inspirational area. I know that we can do a lot for ourselves. That's it, the morning routine, afternoon, evening, whatever you do. But you really drove it home, Lisa and Anna Maria. It's that I just don't know how to be. I don't know how to live without this. And I this is stuff that we can really get into schools, because it's fabulous when we get to be around youngins and they get to play in this field of like that they got this emotionally. So I appreciate that. So I am putting some links in there for everybody. Ladies, I put everybody's links in there. Come into our show that we did today and share with us the things that you have going on, because it may be something different than what you spoke about today. Make sure that you keep adding in these comments that of what's up for you, your family here at the Fresh Inspiration Show. And the more that I get to know you, the more I know that the community is going to get more and more excited about what you're doing. There's so much we need in there in today's world, and it's about that feeling of safety. And we've been talking a lot about safety and opening up, a lot about what Sheryl Bernstein was talking about. And really, actually, I love to be a host, because I really believe that I get my best work not just going and speaking on a stage, because I've been doing it for thousands of hours, probably. I haven't counted up. It can affect the way that I show up if the host is not, like I'm saying, which I don't say very much because I don't really talk about this a lot. But I know that Tony, my friend who passed away, he was the first person that taught me how to be in a space and know that I'm loved. And he would just do these things for me that I became a rock star right in front of his eyes, because he gave me so much love. So ladies, with you being here, I really appreciate you being here, and everything I said, and this comes from me learning from Tony, my dear friend who passed away, is that when you're authentic and you share your gifts of like how you see someone, and you really give them love, you give them an opportunity to be able to open up and feel safe. The Fresh Inspiration Show, I hope I give you the opportunity to feel safe. I don't think that word will ever go away, because I will show up differently based on how somebody holds the stage for me. And it's that hunkering in, knowing that somebody's got my back. That's what I'm honing the skill in. I don't know what layer I'm at right now, from 0 to 10, but I work on being a 10 all the time. And that is important to me. I know that I'm locking arms with you today and all the stuff we got to play with. And we're going to be releasing the podcast in a few weeks. And you have an opportunity for us to come back together and play, with what you learned from the time that you left today. So we can re-celebrate and recommit that this podcast cast that's going to be released of each individual of you is going to be rockin' awesome. And we want to share that with the community. So we're going to hopefully be able to see all of you again, and you can decide at that time. And you also get to be a rock star in another layer. So the Fresh Inspiration Show, you may know this, that we are on Apple TV, Roku, Fire Stick, which is Amazon. We're going to be Spotify, YouTube, and that's iTunes. It just keeps going. I want this to be big, and it's not in the ego sense. I want this to be big in a way that we can keep loving and nurturing on each other to where we keep growing our communities. So that I look at Linda and I say, Linda, how's those dragon saboteurs going? How's it feeling in your coaching community and what you're doing? And whatever nuggets that Linda got today, she's locking arms with, not just when she first walked in, but now she has even more to uplift. And we just exchanged gifts there. Sheryl Bernstein speaking about her experiences and the detail that she gave and what logically you really truly want to look at to help you be an educator for yourself and not a critic, but really be the director for yourself. So you know it does take work. So when you start comparing yourself, which is a gentle nudge from Sheryl, is be careful. Don't judge yourself, because you know if you're judging about somebody else, sometimes you don't get to hear that person's story about how many hours they've been behind camera and how spontaneous they are. We all want to be spontaneous and loving and be able to create within the camera or on stage. Give yourself time. But I know with Sheryl being here, she locked arms with me today and the Fresh Inspiration Show, each individual star. And whatever we infused in that love for Sheryl, she's coming out and saying, wow, and there's something new if you decide you're going to allow that to keep flourishing, which I have no question that each individual of you will be doing. Janeen Olmos, the discussion about emotional IQ is essential. We don't talk about this. You don't turn on the news and they say something happened. We're not going to show you the video, but let's talk about where we can grow from this and allow that to be the sizzle. And so with somebody explicitly talking about stories that you would think would just be something you wouldn't want to say, are you serious? Janeen served at a higher level than when you shame yourself and say, I can't tell that story, because Janeen's healed from that story. She's ready to share it. So you don't go out there and just share all your stories, because you got to be ready for it. But what Janeen did is that you don't just walk in a room and just tell everybody, well, this is what happened. And people are like, what? She did it in the proper space. And everybody here, I want to talk about this stuff all the time. Because I'm going to keep on up leveling myself. I'm like, Janine, do you have some more of those stories? And I mean, that's what I want to live in. And so you're going to find that community that you're growing. So we're going to keep growing Janeen's community too, just by being here. So make sure what you're seeing, you're opting into. Get curious, because it's not about buying or blah, blah, blah. It's about loving and finding those gifts with every one of them. Sabina Gorka Schroed, when we first started this journey with the show, when we had to go virtual, we're like, you're right, there's supposed to be a show. We're supposed to be in Marin. And Marin, we're going to be doing this thing. And, Sabina, can you come? And whatever, it could have even been, I wanted Sabina to be over in out by the beach in Sonoma County. There's a beautiful town called Sebastopol, but there was this play about where do you want to go? Well, I had no idea that within 24 hours I was going to flip it. With my 12 years of experience, I was probably about 10 at that time or 9, being online served a big purpose. And we flipped it and we said, all right, let's get some more experts, let's play with this, and let's get the energy. And we turned this into the powerhouse it is of let's go with the heart, and how can we be here community and supporting each other And so Sabina has been here from the beginning of the virtual space. And I love you, Sabina. I love the way that you're showing up because we keep growing. I mean, everybody's seeing everybody grow and new stars coming in and some people that are reoccurring stars. And I just love it. I love reoccurring. So let's keep this flow going. The Fresh Inspiration Show, keep your mojo going. Keep that food that fuels your body. Keep those words that just keep bring you here. You just go, oh, that's me dramatic. It's like every day I'm dramatic. I'm just like, that's me as a 4-year-old, by the way, everyone. Oh, be yourself, whatever that is. And you're gonna keep discovering it. We'll bring back in that 90-year-old. When you're 90 years old, you're gonna keep discovering stuff about yourself because we're just so scrumptiously fun. I don't want to say lusciously fun, like it's just like this infectious thing. Because when I was growing up, I thought being older meant that you got bored of stuff. And I was like, I'm scared to be old. So I hope that you understand that there's such a thing as ageism, and we're just like kicking that baby out the door. We talked about video showing up, and we're concerned about like this beautiful aging that's happening. And so we're all representing that as women. Thank you, Janine. She's celebrating this, kids. And it's truly about what you want it to be about. So if you have somebody in your life that's not fully on board, because we talked about like Janine was talking about, like, be yourself, be strong. Like you just show up and just stand up for yourself. And you may have some people in your life, it doesn't feel like it's cohesive. You know what? I used to say, get rid of those people. Like make a list. And all those people, tell them goodbye today. Because I just was like all, in my head about it. The healing space of that is start experimenting in how you're going to share with people, how you feel. What the Fresh Inspiration Show do for you? What are the stars that you met today that helped you understand that maybe if you use some new words with these people that feel like they're rubbing you wrong? Because I'm here to say, I want your life to be happier. I want this world to be a happier place. And then I'll use words like joy, because everybody pretty much used the word joy. So I want your space to be joy, so that we create the biggest love fest that we've ever seen, because now we have virtual where we can do this. That is my goal here. Who else has a goal like that? Relationships, working on feeling good, wanting to bring love into this life, wanting to look at chronic disease and start talking about the body emotionally, not just about food, not that you have to eat exactly this or that, not judgment on food, but actually finding freedom in life, freedom in food, freedom in talk when you're here, freedom in what's important to you. So keep going back to the people that you may think are critics. Allow yourself the space to be fierce. Allow yourself to be soft and loving and warm. Challenge people around you that don't believe in this spiritual sense because they don't see it. Challenge yourself when you wake up in the morning and you say, I feel like crap. Challenge yourself in the way that really motivates you. Come back to this video. You have a scrumptious, loving 4 hours that is, we're tying this in a bow, and it's any color you want. I see red, I see gold, I see blue, I see every color. You just throw it out there and just mix it up. Your bow is your bow. That's how you get to be an individual. Your partnerships are your partnerships. And that has to do with, I love you, I love you, I love you. Those are your partnerships. So you get to be an individual. You don't get lost, but you get to be you. The Fresh Inspiration Show, I'm going to give you some more links, but I'm going to head out. We're going to head out. And I want to know, how do you feel as we're ending this? How do you feel? from the time you walked in to all these beautiful different vocals, different cadences, different ways people looked in the camera, different ways of breathing, being, different ways to communicate with other professionals. Because we used to want to compete with everybody, in corporate. I wanted to kick me some ass. Oh, that just really effed me up. So see where all this information, this good stuff, plays for you. I want to hear some more comments. I want to give some more love to the stars of the show. But I love you, ladies. You did an excellent job today. Fresh Inspiration Show, you did an excellent job too. Let's keep it rocking. All right. So you got to spend some time with us. What do you think? Did you start seeing yourself in different ways? Maybe showing you like what wanted to be revealed finally? I would love to hear you have links down below to be able to decide who you want to go meet at their website, send them an email, how to get connected with the Fresh Inspiration Show. You're going to have so much fun doing the next steps. Also, you get a recipe of the month, and it's a theme to help you work within your liver and healing. And I share with that all throughout this time. So I hope you enjoyed the special stuff with each expert, and then also the recipe and getting to know Origins, our sponsor. But this is all fun stuff. This is why I do what I love to do. Have an insightful day, and I'm so happy you're here for our show.